Trump publicly demanded the resignation of Intel's new appointed CEO, Lip Butang, citing problematic business relationships with China. Okay.
This may be like some kind of like they want to have like one of the companies nationalized in order in case like some kind of chip shortage from like policy comes out happens. I don't know.
It's not nationalized, but you need 10%. So when you buy 10% of a company, then you will have much more power.
It's a minority share, but it is still nationalization in effect.
Well, it doesn't matter. The bare minimum is 10%.
That's right.
As long as you own 10%, then or anything more than that. So Trump took the minimum, which is 10%. If you buy 10%, you have much more power. So they're saying basically Intel has some Chinese shit going on.
That's right.
And if the U.S. government has 10%, then the U.S. government is on the table. Yeah. I love Georgia Meloni. That's an ass that I would clap.
That's right.
Sorry?
Georgia Meloni was at the Oval Office today.
Yeah, I would clap. I would definitely clap.
The truth.
So Zelensky today was wearing a suit.
Was he really?
Was he really?
Yeah, Trump called him out. There was a guy who was in Portugal who said, "You look amazing in this." And Trump said, "Oh, that's the guy who attacked you last time." And then Zelensky said, "I remember, but I
fucking learned his lesson,
You're in the same suit still." I love Zelensky. He's a Jew.
That's right.
He's killing all the Ukrainians, and he's getting away with it.
That is so crazy. Like, the whole war was like just like an extermination of like blonde people.
Yeah, they're Christians. No one cares about them. Let's kill them. And yeah, let's get it going.
Nothing wrong with that.
And let's flood their country with like.
You guys are literally complaining about dead people who died in war. You fucking losers.
You're the loser who got kicked out of the military? Dishonorable discharge? Sure.
No, I got an honorable discharge, and I'll tell you what, you're a fucking loser.
Nigga, why didn't you fight in the trenches? Why don't you explode with your brother? Shit, nigga.
You and John fuck Zelensky.
You know what? He's a strong Jewish leader who may negotiate peace, unlike you losers who literally come here every day and repeat the same cycle without introducing any new information. It's the definition of being a loser. Kick me. Hurry up and kick me so I can get away from you, please.
Kick this nigga.
Oh, did you kick him?
There you go.
I like John. I'm a free speech absolutist, so I elect to have him stay so we can nominate him.
Are you an absolutist though? Like, kick Ritos.
Kick him. Should verbal threats be against the law?
I'm not gonna kick him, but you can.
Those verbal threats should be against the law, but I think
Then you're not an absolutist.
I mean, absolutist in ways that don't violate the First Amendment.
What?
Yeah, like I don't think you harassing an autistic kid, sending a million people.
I mean, not an absolutist.
Okay, but I'm not an absolutist. I'm a pro-section.
There's no, that's right. Censorship is profitable.
Right, it's gatekeeping. Everything that's gatekeeping is profitable.
That's right.
I love gatekeeping. Some niggers can get in. Well, so now we know that the new CEO of Intel, Lip Butang, he has Chinese relationships, and so Donald Trump is kindly requesting that he resigns.
So this is some kind of like espionage operation. They're trying to take control like 10% state.
Again, you're not getting it. 10% is the minimum that you need.
I know. If they get 10%, they have like more. They have access to more information, and also they have more leverage over the company. So it's some kind of like geopolitical struggle.
Child. When you own 10%, nigga, at least that.
Yeah, it's corporate governance. You have more power over what I get.
When you own 10% of any company, nigga,
Yeah, you have more power over what I
you become an insider.
That's my whole point.
You become considered an insider to the SEC rules.
Yeah, it's file form. I forget what form it is, but like, I get it. Stop.
So that is fucking
For real.
You can make decisions on corporate. Like you can.
Randy, be
I'm not a
nice.
moron.
Randy, be
I'm
nice
not
to
a
each
moron, but people that are morons will believe that I'm a moron.
So you are a moron.
Okay.
What do you care what morons think about it?
Because it's
I'm interested in it, but it doesn't affect some outcomes.
Because is an airplane
To go
ticket
to an
trouble?
NBA game? No. I'm not gonna go to a basketball game of any.
the U.S.
There we go. I'd be very fun. Make sure you wrap it up, bro.
Do not have that the
Any
U.S.
girl that's just like willing to fly down the floor, that's a weird,
Do you understand that the U.S. government
not
cannot
stable.
into the operations of certain companies?
I've been talking to her for like 2 months.
Oh,
Wait, a girl from Clubhouse?
And she has a sister in Tampa. No, it's not from Clubhouse.
why are you guys wasting time talking about dumb shit? That ain't nobody cares if Rico talks.
That's right.
No one cares if he's talking or not. No one cares.
Or we're trying to get in the lead.
No one cares.
Try and get
Yes,
yourself.
we do.
Don't worry about me. I'm doing fine.
But no one cares if she's doing fine. We care about are we doing fine?
That's right.
Please.
So the U.S. cannot look. The U.S. government cannot look into private companies and their operations. They don't have the right to do so.
That's what I thought. Yeah, I'm fucking illegal.
Because that's not
If they do something illegal, yeah.
Yeah, but
No, but buying
look at my gut. This nigga can't
for
shut up.
purpose.
This nigga can't shut up.
Yeah, you can't shut up.
So because they're insiders, now they get to do it legally.
Ramble McDickerson.
They have actual ability to
Ramble
do what's
McDickerson.
happening.
Careful, Rico, he might kick you.
No, he just doesn't want to hear it because he insists on knowing it, but he doesn't know.
Then tell me what you got that I already know.
Also becomes a national security asset.
That's what you said, dude. You're repeating what I said, bro.
You didn't say shit, dude.
Oh my god. You'll never. It's fucking ridiculous. It's fucking absurd.
It was a retarded nigga. That's
Right. It is absurd.
retarded nigga.
And we met in
And
a
someone
historic
2.64%.
meeting at a bowling lane.
come with me.
Stumbled upon a room, a brain trust room, a pop-up room by Alan. And I gave my little speech. John, Congressman Kitover was in there and he heard me. So what you'll hear me say in my opening remarks is what you already heard, John. But I'll repeat it for the benefit of those that care to listen in here. I can't hear you yet, Scarlett. I see you trying to unmic, but I don't hear you. I saw your question in the chat, so I can't hear you. You might want to try to leave the room and come back again.
All right, is this any better?
Can anybody hear me?
I can hear
Yeah.
you both.
I'm the one that's having a problem. Okay, well, I'll leave the room and come back.
Yes, sir.
Hold on. We will.
He's gonna leave it in the room.
Okay, there you go. All right, so Friday, there was a historic meeting between Putin and Trump. there were many people frustrated because when the meeting was over, there was not a lot of information regarding the meeting. It was 4.5 hours long, I believe, and people were frustrated by not having answers. And I think we should have maybe not expected too many answers. Trump only met with Putin, not Zelensky. But tell me what's in the news today, Marshall. Why are people optimistic, even hesitantly
In the news
optimistic?
today, people are
I didn't ask
disgusting,
you, sir.
have no moral fiber
I didn't
character.
ask you, Marshall. Don't let Branson's room be ruined by jerks,
And
please.
so we'll be back in a little bit. We're talking about the news. Scarlett, all I was simply saying is that no one has any backbone. They don't have any moral character. They don't have anything that they stand on, but they sit up and virtue signal, and then they also share mod privileges with a 2-time fucking rapist who took fucking girls who were unsuspecting off Craigslist and brutally raped them.
Marshall.
And then sex trafficked them like the fucking movie Takeout. Yeah, you don't want to talk about JB because he's your buddy, right, Marshall? Yeah, you don't want to talk about JB because he's your best friend?
Yeah, thank you, Scarlett. I spent a step away from my phone. Appreciate that.
You can't do that. You can't invite Rich on the stage and step away from your phone. He's one of the accounts that needs moderation.
Okay.
Because he can't moderate himself.
Now I can hear everybody. I'm sorry.
Welcome back, Anson. We were talking about Trump's meeting on Friday with Putin, and then I asked Marshall, what is making people tentatively optimistic today? I missed something.
I'll talk about that in my opening remarks, but go ahead, Marshall, if you want to start the conversation now, go ahead.
So since we're looking for historical corollaries, I'm searching my mind for times it took times in our history that it took multiple meetings for peace. And I think the Korean War was one such war, if I recall correctly. It took some time to get some peace in. And the Banana Wars in the early 1920s, where the Marine Corps derived their small wars manual from, I think, a set of wars, if I recall correctly, that had multiple meetings about ending them. And so off the top of my head, those are the two questions I would have in our history would be the Spanish-American War and how that panned out, and then turning around and looking at the rest of history, one of the questions I would have would be, does the Napoleonic War have a similar issue of peace? Did the American Civil War actually have a similar issue of peace? I know, for example, in the American Civil War, the North and the South each believed the war would last for no longer than 2 years, and it drug on for 5. And so those might be examples in which peace was tried and peace was hard to come to. Since we're looking for historical examples, that's what I can think of off the top of my head. I've got a bunch of history books, so I'll look through those and see if I can find any other examples.
What up, Jane?
But that's really what's going on. We have this.
What? He's a talker. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I don't really dislike anybody on this app. I think everybody plays their little part in a giant cog, and to dislike or like somebody is irrelevant, you know? Yeah.
Just curious.
Yeah, this is one giant communication puzzle. And if you don't, you know, that's like saying, I don't like this puzzle piece.
You're ugly.
This puzzle piece is ugly to me. I will not play with this puzzle piece. I don't want to play with this puzzle piece anymore. Putting it away, putting it in the box, putting the box under the bed, dusting off the floor.
Get off my property. We'll see you later.
Okay, talk to you soon. Bye.
Chatter before I left the room, trying to change my audio. But I've been glued to the TV for most of the day, and I've tried to shift back and forth as events were unfolding with Zelensky's arrival, Trump and Zelensky Zelensky spoke, and now they're, as far as I know, they're in their conflict. And I bounced back and forth between CNN and Fox, and I found very interesting, the tone and the emphasis was quite different between the two, as you would expect. But Fox had an absolutely superb map, the best map I've seen on TV of the war today, and it really showed the nitty-gritty of the current battle lines, what Putin wants, etc. And I really respect General John King, the Fox commentator. I think he makes a lot of geopolitical sense. And I shifted over to, and he made some remarkable insights, which I'm going to provide to you, because I'm assuming most of you have not been moving your TV. I then shifted over to CNN, and John Bolton was the commentator. And of course, he can't stand Trump. So he was yakking about Trump wants a Nobel Peace Prize and all that. But his lack of historical geopolitical perspective on events unfolding today was sadly lacking. And then Mike Pompeo popped up on Fox. I think he's one of the best secretaries of state that we've had in quite some time. And he made some very strong comments about his distrust of Putin and what the roadblocks might still lie ahead in terms of what Putin may or may not do. I'll set the stage for that in another discussion. And as far as historical context, Marshall, it just popped into my mind. And this is more Trump bullshit to a degree. But there has been a peace treaty between Armenia and Azerbaijan, and that was a 30-year war. And there's been some kind of peace negotiated in Congo, peace, not armistice. And that was a 30 or 35 year war. So I think there is certain global historical events that have taken a long time to achieve peace, and history was made when they ultimately broke through. And I just wonder if we're on the precipice of such a historical event, not only in the Ukraine, but in an enhancement of what I like to think of as geostrategic stability around the world, which is a dangerous situation. Again, I'll comment. I'm not going to try to preach a sermon or give a military history lesson or a geopolitical lesson, but I'll try to set the stage for that and stimulate discussion by everybody else. If you hang around long enough to listen to all that bullshit.
It seems like an interesting corollary. Noting the 35 years of fighting both of those places, it makes me think of the high Middle Ages, 30 years war after the 100 years war.
And the Napoleonic War.
Yeah.
And World War II, World War I. And, so, yeah, I mean, those were, it took a long time to get there, but when we got there, it broke pretty fast. Are we seeing a possible breakthrough in recent days? And again, I'll go ahead and open the room. I've already given an overview. But as I listened to, first of all, Zelensky and Trump, the optics of that meeting was 180 degrees from what happened last February. So there was obvious progress made in the optics between those two guys, and Vance didn't have to weigh in and give Zelensky a lecture on his dress and all that kind of stuff. Then when the Europeans, Trump and Zelensky Trump was pretty articulate for Trump. There was a minimum exaggeration, hyperbole, bullshit Trump usually spews out. But he was pretty, he was he says, I think we have a chance here. We're not there yet, but I think we have a chance. And the chance, he said, is a continuation of the chances that he evidently observed in his 3-hour meeting with Putin. Now, I'm going to also say that when I watched that press conference last Friday, I was ready to throw a shoe at the TV. There should never have been a press conference. Putin should never have been allowed to give the speech that he gave about American, Soviet, Russian related. That was, there should be, Putin wanted to have a press, Trump should not allow Putin to have a press conference. He should have sent him back to Russia and let him have his own press conference. And Trump should have said, we made some progress, I can't talk about it, but we sure as hell aren't there yet. But more will follow in the coming days and weeks, and I'm still committed to giving it my best shot. That's the way that disaster on Friday could and should have been, in my view. Today was a whole different tone. And when the Europeans assembled around the conference table, and the reporters were there, and TV cameras were going, all the Europeans plus Zelensky had an opportunity to give brief remarks as to what they anticipated would happen in the meeting that is now the closed door meeting that is still going on. And there was real positive, meaningful unity, I felt, in those brief remarks. We'll have to see what the outcome is. But the bottom line, the points that they are discussing, and after they report out, you can go back and follow this room. So, and after they report out, I suspect that Trump and maybe other leaders will answer brief questions from the press, maybe not. But Trump specifically said that he is going to immediately call Putin to report the results of the conference that is being held today. And after that, he is going to push hard for an immediate, within the next week or so, trilateral conference with Putin, Zelensky, and Trump at the table. And Trump also said, I really don't want to be there, and I would prefer that just you two, speaking to Zelensky, you and Putin, hold that meeting. But if we want me there, I will be there to help. But he clearly sends a direct signal, in my view, that he believes that the details of any peace, or any ceasefire for that matter, must be ultimately achieved by agreement between Ukraine and Russia, which I think is very accurate. We can push, we can encourage, the Europeans can do their things and so forth, but the ultimate agreement must rely on the two countries that are at war with each other. But the other thing that I think is historic, and I mentioned this to provide a more historical nature perspective. Look at where we were 10 years ago. And Trump was threatening NATO with withdrawal and so forth. And NATO was just being NATO, et cetera, et cetera. And today, NATO, the European community, has dramatically upped the ante to 5% of GDP spending on their military infrastructure. That is a huge and dramatic difference from what has been going on throughout the Cold War. Is Europe, and the second, the sticking points, what they're talking about now, what kind of security guarantees United States put in place to protect Ukraine in whatever shape or form it comes out geographically through a peace treaty? What will be the security agreements that will be put in place? And will they be put in place not just by handshakes and nods of agreement, but by treaties? Not a NATO treaty, not allowing Ukraine into NATO, but having a treaty between Europe, America, and Ukraine in terms of Article 5 like security agreements, including at least European boots on the ground on the whatever battle lines are concluded, whatever territorial agreements are reached between Ukraine and Russia. Will there be European troops on the ground as on a lasting basis, much like we've had American troops in Europe since World War II, and including will there be long-term European troops on the ground to prevent Russia from restarting its aggression? If they do that, my God, is that history making? So that's enough preaching. I'll leave it to you guys to ask questions or whatever, and see if we can reach some kind of consensus. And I put a poll on this sort of silly poll, but see if we can find a consensus, and we'll maybe pick something else and put in the chat what you think the outcome will be more in the coming days, weeks, months, or years. I'll turn it over to you guys.
Scarlett, what do you think?
Steve, I know. Steve and I have already had a discussion.
Anson,
Yeah,
I just have an expression that I enjoy, and I think it kind of reframes everything. It's that there's not a speck of dust out of place in the entire universe. So the way that things have played out between Trump and Putin and the entire, television broadcast and information and all that. I mean, I just like that saying that there's not a speck of dust out of place in the whole universe. And I think peace and greater stability is right around the corner.
That is my hope and my aspiration. And we can bring China into this as well. But as you also heard me say, Alex, if Europe truly steps up and shoulders a much greater burden than they have, not just in their military spending, but in what I think of as the geopolitical stability in the world. If Europe shoulders a greater burden and stops their extraordinary over-reliance on American protection, that will be history making in and of itself if it sticks and if it's sustained. I mean, Europe today spends 17% on defense and 40% on their social fabric, and that Europe needs to change that. And Gerald King of Fox said over the last 10 years, and he gives Trump some credit, and I believe it's deserved. Trump blustered and threatened to withdraw from NATO and all that in his first term. But today, Europe has in fact agreed to and are in fact spending the money to get up to 5% of GDP for defense. And now Europe is seemingly ready to put boots on the ground in Ukraine as a security guarantee. Not ask for American boots to be on the ground, but Europe to put boots on the ground as a security guarantee in the event, not just of the ceasefire, but in the event of a true peace treaty between Ukraine and Russia. That's pretty important stuff.
One of the things in this whole thing that I don't think anyone's really discussed, and I'm not sure the level or implications that came from it, but there was a lot of talk about NGOs that was getting American USAID money, permitting. I forget that one guy that got ran from office. And this kind of thing, the Russians kind of maybe one of their powerful drug influence. When I got you, Carl set up a time we could maybe talk on the podcast. So I should do the podcast. I send you a link via your email. You'll have to sign up for anything to do a Zoom meeting, and then I will try to put it online. You may call back. I appreciate it. 779-905-0981. That's pretty much what's going on in the schedule for me too. So thank you.
But I think it's something else, and I think peace is my best guess. And I think peace, not just a ceasefire, but there's one left to be negotiated and agreed upon, and a substantial amount has to be agreed upon by Putin and Zelensky, which leads to the question, what leverage, if any, does America and Ukraine have over Putin and Russia today? Is there leverage, and can they use it effectively to achieve peace?
Well, I think the biggest leverage right now, Hanson, in my mind, would be where Putin has been able to keep capital flowing through India and China with the sale of the natural gas and the oil to fund this whole operation to keep the economy from just going totally in the tank. I think right there is probably the biggest lever they have.
I had an interesting private room conversation with my friend Tiger, the Chinese advocate for Clubhouse, about that. And of course, he is China-centric, etc. But he's 30 years old, PhD in computer science, Chinese national, works in Silicon Valley, blah, blah, blah. He believes that sanctions have run their course, and there's not much left in the Western engine, the steam in the Western engine from sanctions alone on anybody is not a very significant point of leverage against Putin. I'm not sure about that, but what else does the West have in terms of real leverage against Putin beyond economic sanctions and moralizing, of course? And I still believe that the threat of the possibility of Western boots on the ground and that presupposes that Putin holds fast to where he's not going to get what he's asking for. The war will continue if he pushes for that. But if he backs off enough, then peace is possible with significant land, at least de facto, given up by Ukraine. Not de jure, but de facto. I hope everybody understands what I mean by that. And maybe we'll see a peace agreement.
It blows my mind that people will come on this app, though, and if you tell them that a peace treaty is a possibility, it's like a gaslight to people. And that I cannot understand why people would allow themselves to get gaslit by hearing that a peace treaty is possible.
Well, that's because most of the people come on this app with preconceived, very strong, highly partisan, vicious opinions, never to be swayed from saying. So everybody gets gaslit from one side or the other, and the ability to find compromise, even on Clubhouse, is damn near impossible. But we're doing the show. everybody's leaving, so I'm not going to keep the room open. You and I can talk. I love string theory and quantum theory and relativity. I've been at the layman's level. I love to read that stuff. So yes, every step it does in the universe has its specific place in the universe at any given moment. Though I'd also point out that the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, we're not sure at all exactly where they are, but everything has its place, and the universe will still turn regardless of what happens.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you look at what the Irish Times is putting out, or what New York Times put out, they say that Trump is Krasnov, and he's an early Soviet espionage victim, and that all of this is Putin blackmail. To me, it's insane, but I think the war machine will put out counter narratives to try to prolong the war, create suspicion, cause more chaos, and I know most Americans want peace, but there's always that element of a wild card or a freak radical that refuses peace. And the videos coming out of Kiev with all of the drone bombings, it's unbelievable. And I like to think they're going to have a peace deal. But part of me thinks that the status quo is a 99.9% chance. So it is literally a 0.1% chance that a peace deal or peace in our times is possible, because it does seem like war is the status quo. And especially, I don't know, it just seems like the status quo.
Well, I think in general, war is the way the world has worked ever since humans first walked the earth. They come and they go, but war has always been a means to settle disputes. We like to, we're trying to figure out ways other than that to do it, but that's getting into Greek philosophy beyond specifically what's going to happen today, tomorrow, in the coming days and weeks, and maybe months. But there's a chance. We'll wait and see. And it'll be interesting to see how the media handles today after everything closes down at the White House later on this afternoon, early this evening. I'm going to go ahead and close the room. Go ahead, Starlight.
Nancy, I remember you being very frustrated on Friday that there was so little information after the 4.5 meeting. But today it seems like you're cautiously okay. Am I reading that right? And what changed?
You're absolutely reading it right, because the Trump bombacity said we made great progress, but he didn't give any example whatsoever. So was that just Trump BS, or did they really make progress? Today, it seems, based on what Witkoff has said over the weekend, what Trump said before the press today, that Putin maybe, just maybe, has agreed to meaningful security guarantees for Ukraine to prevent a restart of Russian aggression. He hasn't been specific on that, but he has agreed in principle to allowing the West to provide such security guarantees. If that happens, that is a major, major step forward to achieving peace. We don't know if it's going to happen. And Europe, the assembled people in Europe speaking before the press, before they went private, showed more unity than I've ever seen in such gatherings in terms of European unity, not only in their aspirations of peace. They didn't moralize for peace today. They demonstrated the willingness to put their money and their treasure and their military, as weak as it may be, to put that on the table and join on the but NATO-like guarantees between individual European nations and Ukraine, and maybe the United States. So with that progress, that glimmer, that opening up of very interesting possibilities, I'm far more optimistic today than I was after watching that disastrous press conference last Friday. You understand what I'm trying to say, Scarlett?
Yes, sir. All right. I think this has been a great room. Our rooms have to last an hour. Short and sweet. We'll make it work too. And more people might be tempted to listen to a 20-minute room than an hour long or 2 hour long room. So thank you for hosting today, and I look forward to your room tomorrow.
Okay, great. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close the room, guys, and you guys take care, and I'll probably open it back up tomorrow and see what takes place.
It's not that they want their tits set at football matches. I think that the women want to just like have their hair out. My question is for Scotty. Scotty, do you wear a hijab?
No, but look, Ewan, while that's the normal sentiment from Iranian women at the end of the day, no one's...
You wear?
I know, that's a weird question to ask.
Stupid.
If you're being troll, at least be funny, man.
What color thong? Oh, no, okay.
It's already, or you're waiting on that?
I'm waiting on it. I think they're thirsty this year. They keep calling me.
Did you go last year?
If I want to buy packages. I've been both years.
Be an online friend to be concerned?
Look who's in the audience. So this is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Stop talking about it.
He's raised his hand to speak. You have exactly 60 seconds to say what you have to say. It better not be rude or out of line, or you will be dropped. So go ahead. 60 seconds.
Sure, I'd like to take this 60 seconds by reading a little poem from the Tao Te Ching.
No.
Way of showing.
What's up, Josh?
What's up?
What up,
Yeah,
gentlemen?
busy, man, so I haven't been speaking for the last hour. I've been super busy doing stuff, but where do you want to go?
Shlomi said something that I didn't understand what he said. I'm so curious to know. I don't know if you heard, but...
No, I didn't hear anything, man. Been too busy, like I said. What do you think he said?
I don't know, because I was like, this reality is absurd. The world needs to help Israel because this is an abusive existence.
Dude, Romney Care in Massachusetts was the same thing as Obamacare. It was like the same fucking thing.
Troy.
Bane? You're talking about like the consultant?
That's right. I have John Hancock and forgot.
Perhaps I do what works. You know my name, right? Baby girl? Scarlett? The fuck? You mad? Bitch, I would have had 10 times. Oh no, my finger slipped. I am so clumsy. Why are you gonna be so rude? Butterfingers. Are we gonna act like a jungle creature? You will be treated like a jungle creature, and that's fine, no problem. I'd like to have a conversation, but I don't know if Craig has the ability. How would you say this? He's on vacay.
I just wanted to say that our next replay should definitely be philosophy. I'm casting my vote now.
John, we should also talk about horror movie.
Yes.
What philosophy focus would you like to see?
I think a lot of the international commitments. And the second thing is, it's clear to me that other than the theater in Israel, Trump is actually reducing the global footprint.
Let me see. I have to look at the results. What if I don't like any of the above? Any common option? Yeah. I'll have to think about that one.
Certainly more willing to engage directly in the Ukraine theater. It's not very backed by evidence, right? The second possibility, which is the only other one left, is that they had made a tacit agreement with the Russians that linguistically they can offer a guarantee, which Putin is willing to say that I will not violate in the short term. And having that assurance, Trump is relaying that message to the European counterparts and maybe making a gesture of the so-called security guarantee. And I think that's more credible because actually, if you're looking at the unilateral actions by the Russians, it's not clear to me they even have the appetite to actually further engage Ukraine and take over not even the eastern part of the river. It's not clear to me that they're so interested in advancing to the Kharkiv and Sumy region, even if they could, or the right bank of Kherson. Right? They could try to do all those things, but they have not done so. Even though they have some experience, they have not engaged in full-scale invasion from those directions. So what's likely is that there is the role of the principle of agreement that Russia gets to keep a lot of the territories, with the possibility that the security guarantee even would involve Russian troops, which is another way of saying they are trying to guarantee the neutrality of Ukraine as a condition of the halting of hostility from the Russian side. So that might be what's happening, though it's unclear to me that I think Zelensky got what he wants in terms of the dignity of having made some concessions from Trump so that he's more gracefully accepting a ceasefire, even at a loss strategically. So that's a possibility. But I think another very important thing to ask is, do Europeans actually know what they're doing, right? Do they want to position themselves in the moral position and continue to support the Ukrainians to maintain their sovereignty and territorial integrity, which, as I said, I don't think they have a very good moral standing, or they're just, without a sense
Maybe they don't have a very good moral standing, Tiger. I don't understand that. I'm sure you recognize.
Yeah, I
They're
concern, as I'm sure you recognize, is that this sets a precedent for their nation if we allow, as a world community, Russia to invade Ukraine and potentially set the precedent that we're going to allow Russia to enter their sovereignty. And okay, wait, let me finish asking the question. So how can you suggest that they don't really have a moral standing on all of this? Because they're pushing the same standing that applies to them as does now apply to Ukraine from their view.
No, the reason I said they don't have a moral standing is that we have seen recent events in the past that they are interpreted by many other countries. Probably not in the West, right? But most of the global South countries as hypocrites, right? And that's not going to change. Even though this is.
Give me one example so folks understand what you're talking about.
Well, for example, their invasion of countries in the Western African continent, right? Their involvement in Israel, actually, they're shipping of arms to the NATO, the Israelis. Whether you like it or not, right? From the global South point of view, like in China, for example,
What can you say about as a reason to come to any other country?
Very thorough.
Defense.
Geopolitics.
How long ago was that?
We're doing the right thing.
That's just a few years
Letting Europe stand up to Russia.
So here's the thing, right? As I said,
Letting Israel stand up
are
to
already
as we should.
finding
Turning our
that
attention to our only serious rival, potential adversary, but not really. I don't think really necessary.
That are not, are you saying that other nations that are not Western nations, the other nations consider Europe as hypocritical, that there's not hypocrisy in their government?
Well, it doesn't matter. What I'm saying is, you say,
why doesn't it matter? Why doesn't it matter?
You can say that countries like China do not have a moral standing to abuse other people, which, China never positions itself to be the righteous country. China is one country, right? But what's funny is that
China has to account about human rights violations in other nations.
Well, as a response to the U.S. occupation of China, right? That's different. Because I said I was going to address all of those things, and in many ways I think the largest degree of my response, because
this happens every year.
Talking about these things. The thing is,
why don't you spend more time to explain your position? Don't get defensive about it.
No, I'm not defensive. I'm just saying, right? If you don't point to fingers, then you don't have to position yourself as the beacon of light. You don't have to be the most boring idea.
So because there is hypocrisy in Western nations, they should be quiet. Because France invaded Libya, and France has no standing to discuss the invasion of Ukraine by Russia. Is that your argument?
No, I think France has all its sovereignty to discuss it. It's just that you will not be
Then I am lost as to if I am others here are as well, as to why you even raise that issue.
Yeah, I was about to address that. Right? So my first point is, even though position itself or Western nation position themselves of the minority position, has to be argued about moral and right. It's not correct. That's the first thing, right? The second thing, which is more practical, is that even though Europe thinks that by stopping the Russian invasion of Ukraine, it's safeguarding its own safety. That is also not true, because if you compare the situation of Europe back in 1994, for example, or 1998, their security in terms of the buffers they have against Russians have increased, not decreased. Even though if they lose the battlefield of Ukraine, they still have a buffer state of the Western Ukraine, not to mention the Baltic states, Not to mention that the Finnish government
Okay,
is
Tiger, I gotta let you go. You've talked way too long already, but I gotta tell you, what you're really good at, and I have to congratulate you, is to redirect the discussion from the discussion at hand to talk about all of the horrible things
Anson, did
the
you hear
Western
Ann
world,
Coulter's interview with the
the
trigonometry
democracies of the
host?
world stand for. So you use any discussion that we are having
How do you
to
feel
direct
about
our
Ann
attention
Coulter?
to that. And you're good at it. You're very good at it. And so I give you credit for it, but enough is enough. Howard, are you there or are you on the phone?
Sometimes I'll laugh, but
I think Howard's on the phone. Meryl, you got my irony before with Marshall. Would you like to explain it to him?
Of course I did. He has, in the first place, sarcasm is practically never
She's
racist.
a non-entity that in 2015,
I think it takes more energy
2016, the
not to
spring,
be sarcastic. In
she
certain
was
things, I
asked on a
think that with
liberal
regard to
stage,
Trump
I
and
don't know
six
what
wars
stage
and
it
nuclear
was,
war,
nor might.
what did I write? I think I
Who
said
do
that.
you see
Before I
of
think
the
there's been so far
Republican
that they've resolved
nominees
this
right
problem.
now who
Donald
would
Trump
be
Jr. is
president?
fiance.
And she said,
because he got
Donald Trump. And everybody laughed at her.
I think that this is
And
ridiculous.
then he became
Just put it in perspective
president.
now. Today during
So,
this gavel,
I think calling her a wingnut, if she's accurate, might be not generous. And
and I'm thinking, what? Huh? What? And then you wrote out exactly what I was thinking.
I just, like I said, sometimes it takes more energy not to be
unapologetically fiery.
It really does. I think sarcasm is an appropriate way to respond to you. And it's not wasted. Now, Scott asked a question about, or brought up the fact that there are many people who are pro-Russia. And he wondered about that. And you kind of, we talked about it a little bit, just hinted at it. I think everybody has to look at it in a bigger picture. These are MAGA people. Trump was always pro-Russia. His introduction to them, their introduction, their meeting him in 2016 was that he was pro-Russia. He's always been. And these are some of the MAGA people, are people who he appealed to, had nothing to do with politics. He appealed to Mexico, paying for the wall, different things. And then they all of a sudden now attach themselves to whatever he says and whatever he believes. And there's no way for anybody to perceive, in my opinion, Congress ever being anything but pro-Russia. So I have an issue with that. Regarding all the people that came with him today, this is people. Zelensky, Art himself, would know what they're talking about. These aren't people that are real estate investors that we're talking to Putin. These are people that know their stuff, they know what they're talking about, and they know the commitment they're going to have to make, but they also are smart enough to know whether we can trust Trump. So Trump, what he did with Putin the other day, that is not. If anybody thinks that giving him that hero's welcome when he is a war criminal, that did not. That's Putin laughing at him. That's just a laugh. It really is. I don't know.
I think it's honestly a terrible idea for Russia to keep everything that they've captured thus far.
And I thought
they've got all those natural resources.
Even the land that is President Obama's presidency.
But he also putting he had his own vehicles there. Putin did it. Why in the world would Trump put him in the beast? I just, everything about what Trump did showed me
this is Russians or Ukrainians or both.
I should use the word. When it comes to negotiations,
Yeah,
and
I don't know
what he's talking about, it's already
somebody would say 20,000.
it's already a
I don't know.
deal. He's going to give Putin pretty much what Putin wanted.
All right.
And
Well, it's a lot of
he just
people.
didn't gauge the response that he was going to get from the world. He did not, even Fox, I think, didn't support how he gave the hero's welcome to Putin. And I don't think that Trump really prepared himself for the fact that
Now we're going to have some real talks. And he doesn't know what he's talking about. And Marco Rubio saying, well, you know, we've done security this and security that. What people say, you know, and what is actually memorialized in writing is that there's a big difference. And we have to see what is actually memorialized in writing. What is the agreement? Not what does somebody say on the Sunday shows. It's the agreement. What is the agreement that is memorialized? I cannot stress that enough. That is a legal binding agreement. Now, do we ever trust Trump to do something like what he said he's going to do? I'm not sure on this one. I want to see this one, how this one lays out. I also think that Putin would wait 3 years and take a chance on who's going to be the president in 3 years. So I just, this whole thing, I'm holding my breath. I think it is so horrible. But I'm glad that Zelensky came. I didn't even care about the suit. He made a real good point when he said, I promised everybody I would wear a suit until the war was over, till my people weren't fighting a war. I had no problem. So he wore a suit, but he brought people with him, people who knew they needed to go, because they knew, they saw the direction Trump was going. And they want to make sure that Trump understands there are people in this world who know what they're talking about, and Trump doesn't. I'm sorry. Thank you.
I was thinking, I think that's, I was thinking when the president said I resolved this war, and it just everybody's thinking, okay, this is just
correct. I don't know. I think not only economically for Ukraine, but giving Russia control of the Black Sea, giving Russia control of all of the resources, they're going to control a lot of the energy.
Talking about other things, including
I just don't know that that's a good idea either.
National Guard troops in Washington, and how in 2 days crime has ended in Washington because of him. He speaks with a degree of seriousness, and I don't know whether that's passion or whether he really believes this. It's interesting to try to analyze that. But can you imagine if the previous president of the United States sat in the Oval Office with world leaders and declared, I resolved 6 wars? Well, people were going crazy that, once again, Joe Biden, he's losing more marbles. It's just unbelievable that this guy can say it, and nobody says he's losing his marbles. Maybe he isn't. And maybe Biden did, or maybe Biden didn't lose some of his marbles along the way. I don't know. But the way, CJN, you're having real trouble restraining yourself. I don't understand why, but you have to wait until we get to you. And if you keep interrupting,
South Korea,
we'll remove you from the stage. These are the rules.
He's the land of North Korea.
I just find that really interesting. How we treat our respect or our responsibility to this president when he makes these phone calls. Remember, he said on 3 different occasions publicly he was going to Russia to meet with Putin when it was Alaska. And we all say, well, he just misspoke, which we all do. But Biden never would have said that. Thank you, Meryl, and we'll now go to
even though they lost this war, they can win the peace.
Hi, Gary. Hi, Marshall. Want to know Mario? Gary, how are you today?
I am good, but I'm getting better.
How do you open?
Thank you very much. Is the person now Putin?
How do you open?
I think that the more pressure is on President Zelensky as a patriot, giving up land for Russia just for peace.
And yet,
I think that Putin will finally accept the credentials of President Trump. But
something here very shocked me that why President Trump clapped in Alaska for Putin. I think that when you are presenting the land to Russia, there's no need to clap for Putin. There's no need to clap for Putin as a dictator. You know, Putin, the tenor of President Biden attacked Ukraine because the authority of President Biden neglected the danger of President Putin. And now, I think that he or the Western authority must gain advantage.
That's based on.
Okay, nice.
Hey, David, you got a hot mic.
At this timestamp, whatever it is,
Yes.
when we end this room,
Must gain more advantages, more
it was
privileges
short and sweet, about a 30-minute room.
from President
Covered the
Putin
highlights and our
when you
hopes
are
for a positive
presenting
outcome.
1/5
I know Friday,
territorial
Norm, you
integrity
were
of
kind of annoyed and irritated too
Ukraine to
by
Russia.
the lack of information coming out of the 4.5-hour meeting. Are you
for
more
the finale,
hopeful
I'm
today,
so
or this
sorry
amount
that
of
I
irritated
cannot
and annoyed,
speak
or what?
bluntly and accurately because
You're doing very well. You're doing very well. Don't worry about it.
because despite I am the only one Iranian which fulfilled 2 times 100% in English language test in university in the entrance exam, but in the period of jail, I must be exerted head electroshock. This is because
we have a
this
choice,
is why I cannot
because I
speak
really don't
bluntly
want
and
to
accurately. Back to Gary.
turn off the replays. I'd rather end the room and create a non-recording room for social, or we continue on like this. But so if you what would you like to do?
And if it helps
We
you
can
to
turn off the replays and start a social if you want.
skills,
I was gonna say start a new room.
you're more
Yeah,
than
so
welcome
keep the
to come
replay.
up to the stage
Yeah, keep the
and
replay
express
and
yourself
start it. That's what
anytime.
I
We
meant.
all understand your
I
situation.
just saw here too
and we
that
all
did
were
you
able
see
to
that
understand you. So don't worry about it.
Zelensky dismissed the plans
To
for
your
summit
point about
between
the
Trump and Putin?
applause and the
Warning
red
them.
carpet, I'll just point out that when the head of NATO, the heads of 3 European nations, in addition to the head of Ukraine, also a European nation, came to the White House.
I heard him complaining
There was
about
no
it
big photo
before.
op with the red carpet
Maybe it's an old article.
outside
It just popped up.
the White House, and the President of the United States walking out and applauding Mr. Zelensky as he walked up the red carpet. So it's not just by happenstance that we saw what we saw in Alaska, and that's why I reject the previous observation, which others may agree with and not agree with me, and that's fine, that that's meaningless. I don't think it's meaningless at all. It sends a message to the world, and the world is watching. Thank you.
I would like your feedback on the Ann Coulter interview with trigonometry. I don't think Norm was
So
there
Europe
in
has
his.
got a history with the Russian Empire after World War II with Stalin and the USSR. Russian Empire.
Well, you know what? All around us, the owners, not any other pointers, the owners are very corrupt. Like they're very.
Europe understands that, but at the same time, they were kind of lazy as hell, right? After World War II,
they talked about her.
The U.S. was providing all the security abroad, and so Mr. Trump frankly, has asked them to have NATO.
If they don't, are xenophobic,
European
if
part of
they
NATO
prefer
do
to
its,
have someone from America who's been here for a couple of generations serve as leader of our country, there's cultural concerns that she said that I don't feel embarrassed saying that I have cultural concerns. And so they pushed her hard, and they should have. Because, it is an ugly thing to say. And I think she held up well under the scrutiny, and I was glad that they pushed her.
Within living memory, too. And Ukrainian refugees, at the same time they have the lowest birth rate.
Exactly right. Nice. I mean, glad that you had a not boring life campus. I think you were probably well matched.
Allowed to keep them eating well matched.
Oh no. Hey Matt, how are you?
Doing Cowboys.
Blessed and highly favored.
Choose another time. If they want to get involved in back, ask people from Finland.
What's going on? What's going on, man?
And the lead, how are you?
They're actually.
How's the princess?
She's good. She's great. Just robbing my wallet now, so it's all good.
Yeah, that's what they do. That's what they do.
She's like, no, she's still got halfway in that toy phase. So she goes, she's getting the toy. She goes, you know what? I'm going to be buying from Sephora later. So you'll replace the toys with the stuff from Sephora. I was like, great. And she has all this money that my father gives her whenever he sees her. I'm like, all right, why don't you pay? And then she starts crying, like, why should I pay? Why should I'm like, wait a minute, you've got like $6,000, $7,000 saved up. She goes, I'm saving for something big. I'm like, I'm spending all this money. I spend 100, 200 something. No. I'm saving for something. Because we have the same job. You all great position. Yeah, and I also same thing. She's going next year, so she's like, and I get the backpack. Your backpack's totally fine. Yeah, right off the draft, absolutely right. And she's like 6 Stanleys. I'm like, what the hell? It's a glorified coffee mug. It's like someone is like a coffee mug and it's $6. I don't know much about it. And it's like, what the hell? Like, why are people so excited? And she's like, they bought 6 Stanleys and they want to have a warm place. What the hell's over there? So it's like, I don't know. It's like, it's for water. A bottle's good, doesn't matter what bottle you use. That's ridiculous. Rather than spending money. About my fish about what she just said. Today, that's like the chat, and I had to refresh my memory. Now I understand why people went to these surveys and get stabbed and become someone else's problem. His own words. The reason he killed Bobby Kennedy was because Kennedy supported the serendipity is pushing for like common knowledge. So, for I mean, can you believe it? And in the chat, we'll just leave the phone, folks. And with that, we are now at 5:57. Excuse me, Cash. If you're listening, serendipity. Contact the girl at the top of the hour. Which is now, I guess, going to exercise so that everyone on the stage gets an opportunity to speak. We now move along with Frank. All right. Good night, everybody. It's midnight over here in Germany. Kitover is west of course.
Naveen, I'm wondering if I can convince you to donate to the campaign to elect John Kitover. I've partnered with Ann today. We're going to unite her walkaway movement with the campaign to elect John. Naveen, are you interested in making a donation to the campaign today?
John, what are you running?
The 16th district in Illinois for Congress against Darren LaHood, a rhino vaccinologist, super debt creator.
Wait, I heard that Adams is going for LaHood.
Correct. Dr. Adams is a treacherous femboy on this app, and he has joined with the LaHood campaign to fight me. But we are going to defeat both of those dragons.
Who's the Republican?
Darren LaHood, and I'm running as a Republican against Darren in the primary. We need your petition signature financial support now. Primary guy John. That's the right name.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. Sure. Is it just be direct with me? Is it a red? Like by supporting you, or supporting any Republican? Is it a district that can be won, or is it like something that's always been blue, but we're hoping to flip it?
No, it's always been red, but it could be flipped by a Democrat. You never really know. But this guy, Darren, has $12 million in the bank. We've got $520 from Clubhouse.
You can do it.
Well, we need your shekels. You get a lot of federal Navy contracts. We need you to help pass around a couple clown house shekels. Help the campaign. We're fighting Darren LaHood, the dragon. And if Dr. Adams is supporting him, I think it's a good bet to bet on John, not Dr. Adams. Thank you.
Monica. And dissuaded Russia from taking territory from Ukraine for the first time.
I think the latter.
No, she stepped away from her phone.
Yeah, I know that's an academic question, but it's not worth considering.
Like, you don't want this revolution. Everybody's going to have a grand time talking, sharing about who you dare to go where and all.
Well, we pushed them. We, the world community, including the United States, put them in that position because we convinced them to give up their nuclear arsenal in exchange for a guarantee that they would not be invaded. And then they were invaded once, and now they're invaded a second time. And there are people who say, well, too bad. It's a fait accompli. We shouldn't be giving him arms to protect himself, etc., etc., etc. To me, this is kind of like
I don't know who you're talking about.
Alice in the Looking Glass, right? It's like, by what measure does this make any sense? But people say it's straight face. Russia might invade and stuff. I don't get it. Maybe I missed something. And now we go to the gentleman who's always a delight on the stage, who now is using the nickname Congressman in the anticipation of his tremendous victory and becoming a congressman representing the great state of Illinois. John, it's all yours.
Hey, Gary, thanks for having me up. That's correct. I am running in the 16th District of Illinois versus Darren LaHood, a rhinologist, vaccinologist, super debt creator. And I put some queries into Grok that I'd like to share with you to help summarize the past 72 hours of Donald Trump, Vladimir Putin, and Zelensky, as well as what type of weapon systems and soldiers might be deployed to Ukraine in the event that a security guarantee is made. So this is the past 72 hours. Trump met with Putin on 8/16, urged no ceasefire needed, pushed Zelensky on 8/18 in a White House meeting with the EU to cede Crimea, drop NATO, accept land swaps for peace, offer U.S. security guarantees, plans trilateral talks. Zelensky seeks guarantees, rejects concessions the next 30 days. Trilateral meeting by early September. Possible prisoner release and ceasefire. Full deal elusive due to territorial disputes, but U.S. pressure may yield Ukrainian compromises. This is the next query. Hey, Grok, if the U.S. gives Ukraine security guarantees and deploys U.S. soldiers to Ukraine, what are the top 10 most likely weapon systems and U.S. military units to deploy to Kiev and other areas of Ukraine? In a hypothetical U.S. deployment to Ukraine for security guarantees, focusing on defense in Kiev and key regions, the top 10 most likely weapon systems and units based on expert analysis like RAND reports would be Patriot air defense systems, HIMARS rocket artillery, F-35 stealth fighters, Abrams tanks, Apache attack helicopters, the 82nd Airborne Division, the 101st Airborne Division, the 10th Mountain Division, Special Forces groups, and air defense artillery brigades. So as a candidate congressman running in Illinois who believes we should cut the National Defense Authorization Act and our national military-industrial complex by $200 billion a year, I am against the U.S. sending any soldiers or military equipment and any additional funding to Ukraine. And I hope that these trilateral talks over the next 30 days can bring peace. Thanks, Gary. I hope that was complete.
Thank you, John. That was probably an accurate assessment by Gronk, but I just want to point out that today, Les, you're going to love this. I asked Gronk, did Sirhan assassinate Robert F. Kennedy because of his support for Israel? And Gronk's response was, Robert F. Kennedy was not assassinated. And so, in this case, I guess Gronk may have been spot on, but folks, be very careful about simply relying on AI to get our responses. AI is a good starting point, but they don't always show the resources. You know, there's no footnote, no link to the resources. And when there is, you should click on those and then make your own assessments on whether you accept the veracity of the resources to which they are referring the AI programs before quoting it. And if they don't show the reference, ask a follow-up question. What's your reference for your response? And make the program tell you. Because it's really, really dangerous to just accept it at face value. In this case, listening carefully to what John was saying, I think it was pretty accurate. David, TJN, Daniel, and Howard will get the last word.
Hey, Gary, I'm not sure if it matters either, but Sirhan was also an Orthodox Christian Palestinian.
Yeah, he was a Christian Palestinian, yeah.
So, not you know either. Yeah, I think the first summit with Putin in Alaska, Gary, clearly highlighted the driver's seat that Putin finds himself in. And, you know, the more time that he's bought from Trump with regard to the fact that they didn't even really arrive at anything. It was an ops campaign by Putin. We've let Putin back into the sunlight of Western nations, validating his position as the premier leader of Russia and everything he's done in Ukraine. So we sort of have given him that win, and his Russian media has lapped this up. And far from painting him as the pariah, he's seen more as a national hero now than ever. If the media is to be believed over there. So he's got the wind in his sails. Zelensky's on the ropes. You know, if this was a prize fight, we'd have to come up with something quick for Zelensky. You know, Putin's always, Gary, as you know, even he championed this manifesto that he wrote in the run-up to his invasion of Ukraine, where he basically sees Ukraine as a Russian asset, part of the Russian Empire, going back centuries. He sees Ukraine as well as the other Baltic nations, I think, as well, that fall under the NATO umbrella. So the fact that he's buying time, he's really seeing, I think he has his sights on the whole country, not just these border disputes or these areas that he wants in the negotiations. So I think if we look at his writings and his intent, he's not going to stop until he gobbled up every last piece of that country. And I think he wants to get Zelensky out of the way. I think the longer Zelensky languishes with this war unresolved, his popularity may dwindle where he may be replaced. Who knows? Which would be bad for the country, because I think he's fought valiantly given the resources that we've provided and the heroic effort that his country has waged against racism. But the other thing I want to bring up, Gary, and I've heard it argued that if Trump isn't isn't further sanctioning Putin in a way that would cause real pain to his country. And clearly, this has not been a free ride for Putin at all, irrespective of the military economy that his country's enjoyed. There's a loss of manpower, the million plus victims of this war, plus the injuries. But it's argued that Trump's finance crypto company, led by Steve Witkoff's son Zach Witkoff and his son Eric, World Liberty Finance, is being used as a shell to receive compensation from dictators, world leaders, and the like. And some have argued that Trump is being bought off via crypto, where he's able to leverage the influence of the White House. And it's very difficult to prove because we can't trace the money. We can't trace the transactions. And so it's very difficult to see who's buying influence and at what level with Trump and at what cost. We know that his fortunes have been enriched to the tune of about $2.4 billion with this crypto scheme that has been set up. And so is he being bought? Is he being bought by Putin, and at what level? What else explains the level of cajoling and fun, creating this meetup with Putin as some sort of reunion of sorts between two great powers, fully ignoring the press, the cacophony of press questions that were being leveled at him and Putin regarding when is the killing going to stop? And of course, they might have thrown in there, when are you going to return the orphans, the lost, the children, as you alluded to in your opening salvo. So anyway, Putin's got a lot going for him with this war so far. Trump is not helping the Ukrainian cause. I think giving this summit with the European leaders and Zelensky, while it looks more serious than the first go around, where he was basically embarrassed in the White House by Vance and Trump with the questions that they threw at him. We'll see. I think if anything, the glove's got to come off economically with the sanctions, and we'll see where that goes. I'll end there.
Thank you, David. We'll next go to TJN, and I'll preface it by thanking you for your patience and adherence to the rules. You're up, TJN.
Thank you very much, Gary. Thank you for giving me the floor. Well, where do we start? Okay, we start with the visit at Anchorage. Well, I find it quite ironic that Trump invited Putin in the former Russian territory, which was hilarious. And it was quite badass from the United States to give Putin the awesome show of force of the United States Air Force. That was cool. It's quite customary to welcome world leaders like that. I think it's something which Trump copied from the Saudi Arabians. They've been welcoming Putin and leaders from the United States exclusively in such a manner. And the military parade the United States tried to do wasn't the best, to be honest. But in terms of trying to get its prestige back, in that regard, the air show of the B-2 bombers and the F-35s, I gave 5 out of 5. Well done. In terms of the whole, there should be concessions and stuff like that, that's not really going to happen. Look, I don't understand why is it a bad thing for Trump to have good relations with its partner, its neighbor, Russia. Because I think from my point of view, from the Global South point of view, isn't it a good thing to have superpowers, to have dialogue and talk instead of touching each other's toes? Because the less we touch each other's toes, the more cooperation, peace and harmony and actual economic growth of all respective countries involved would be positive than actually touching each other's toes.
So we actually in the Cold War.
Therefore, without committing a crime, they've articulated it. They have a reasonable cause to ask me for my ID that I have to produce. I have a choice because I possibly committed a crime. They just can't randomly go to strangers and go, need your ID. You made a lot of money from the book, too. And the book wasn't the total, remember? I think it was complete.
Did somebody say Toira?
Oh, God.
Toira. You want to teach us some Toira? We said Toira. Toira time.
Wow, a room finally where Palestinians are thankful for the IDF liberating them from the Islamic jihadist terrorists that have destroyed their civilization. Wow, I'm so happy to finally be in the final summary room of this multi-year war. This is fantastic. Ribono Shel Olam.
Yeah, look at the video yourself. IDF. Baruch Hashem. Yeah, Baruch Hashem. I'm a sheikh in the IDF. You're a sheikh? Yep, and I'm in the IDF. Nice.
B'nai Aliyah. B'nai Aliyah. It's my favorite new word of the day. B'nai Aliyah.
What does it mean?
It's the higher levels of intelligence.
Interesting. Okay. Never heard about it.
Can you speak Arabic, by the way?
It's in the Tanya. El Norma read about it today.
Ah, صح. كيف حالك حبيبتي؟
Pennywise, did you hear El Norma reading the Tanya today, Pennywise?
No, I did not hear that.
Oh, it was beautiful. El Norma, tell them about the magnificent Torah you read.
I don't know what to say. It was just, it was a perfect selection. You invited me to do it, and it changed my day, no doubt about it.
I think Brad down there should probably listen to some of the Tanya, because he's got a lot of anger issues I think he's got to deal with.
Guys, should we read about Lamech in Genesis, the first polygamist? And
Congress, do you have like 17 iPhones in that PTR on tripods?
You're correctly looking at the PTR. That is the photo that you are viewing. Correct.
Is that how you're doing all those streaming services? Yeah, Congress definitely works on the Mossad. Because I see him like
Does anyone here know what the word Mossad means in English?
Enlighten us.
It means supreme intelligence.
If it means supreme intelligence, I should be working there. No, that's it. That's it. They should be calling me up.
Well, you're in something called Clown House. This is a circus tent. There's no supreme intelligence here. This is a clown university. Look at Pennywise. She's one of our clown applicants. And look how well she's responding to the circus tent.
She's a Mossad agent. Yeah, look at her.
That's right. And Lebanese.
And Lebanese.
We have Hizb Shaitan from one side.
That's right, man. She used to work for Hezbollah and then she got fired.
You can send me that photo. I'm not sure if don't mess with the Zohan.
What's that mean, Normie?
Where did you get? Remember that part? There was no beat.
It was fire.
Remember the part with Mariah Carey with the beat?
No.
What beat? There was no beat.
Oh, I don't know. It sounds off.